Now, let's talk about voter, quote unquote, the myth of voter fraud. According to MIT Election Data and Science Lab, only about 0.00006% of total mail-in votes cast are results of voter fraud. That's less likely than being striked by lightning.
Coronavirus also forcing many elections to happen by mail. And in Patterson, there appears to be some major voting problems with the vote by mail election underway. Corruption allegations are swirling already, as about 6% of all mail-in votes are being set aside amidst vote bundling allegations. Our chief investigative reporter, Jonathan Dienst, is live outside City Hall with more. Jonathan?
Yeah, numerous voters we spoke with concerned their votes won't count, that allegations of ballot stuffing could improperly sway the outcome of city council elections here in New Jersey's third largest city. More than 800 votes already set aside out of 12,000 sent in. That's because of images like this. People apparently sending in multiple mail-in ballots all at once. In a completely different town, Haledon, a post office spokesman confirms they're investigating the reported discovery of 300 Patterson City ballots bundled in a mailbox there. Patterson's mayor says the voting problems could be criminal.
If they're finding bundles of ballots in mailboxes, then the appropriate authorities must take the appropriate action.
Outside City Hall, where control of the city council is in the balance, residents who voted by mail disgusted.
That just means that our vote is null and void if you guys are stuffing ballots. So that just means that our vote it doesn't really count.
It puts in question the integrity of the whole voting system.
Two candidates from one ward have been pointing fingers, as a third says mail vote fraud is a bad problem this election.
There's people stealing them out of mailboxes. I'm getting phone calls from people that said they never received them.
Because of coronavirus, all ballots are by mail this election. There have been reports of postal workers leaving stacks of ballots in building lobbies because voting rolls have outdated addresses. To try to prevent fraud, election officials here are comparing signatures. This, as some residents wonder where the FBI and state attorney general are in this.
You guys need to get up off your butt and do your job and find out exactly what's going on, because if you're not doing your job, then why should we be paying you?
Spokesman for the FBI and the state attorney general both declined to comment. A spokesman for the post office says its inspectors are investigating as of now. As county officials say, any evidence of wrongdoing, they'll report to law enforcement. Live in Patterson, Jonathan Dienst, News 4.
Voting fraud scandal. New Jersey prosecutors say the two political leaders tampered with the Patterson election using mail-in ballots to try to steal the vote. And we start with breaking news from Patterson. I'm Chuck Scarborough.
And I'm Natalie Pascarella. 4 people have been charged in that voting scandal. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst first broke this story. He joins us live from the newsroom. John.
Yeah, the vice president of Patterson City Council is one who is facing election fraud charges. The other is Alex Mendez. Mendez supporters thought he would use this council election win to launch a fight for the mayorship. But both men will now fight to try to stay out of prison. Michael Jackson is Patterson's second highest ranking councilman, but now he's an accused criminal. The state attorney general says Jackson is one who was involved in voter fraud schemes. Alex Mendez is also charged with 6 counts of election fraud. Attorney General Grubier Graywall says both men, if convicted, could face at least 3 years in prison for their alleged vote-stealing schemes. We will not allow a small number of criminals to undermine the public's confidence in our democratic process, he said. Also charged, Shaleen Khalik, a relative of another councilman, and Abu Raisin. Officials allege he is seen in this video handling many mail-in votes. Patterson's mayor earlier.
Today, it looks like there's been some semblance of justice that has been served, and we will see how this plays out.
The recent vote-by-mail election in Patterson was marred by widespread fraud allegations. Ballots were found stuffed in mailboxes in the city, as well as in a separate town. And with ballots seen scattered in building lobbies, some residents say they never got a ballot. But records show someone voted in their name. This is corruption. This is fraud, she says. Control of the city council is in the balance. Two winners accused of fraud, often aligned against the mayor. The city spends $300 million a year, more than $1 billion, counting state aid and education spending. Mendez defeated longtime councilman Bill McCoy. McCoy has gone to court trying to overturn the election results because of fraud allegations. Allegations bolstered by the criminal charges filed today. Mendez's campaign says his attorney will issue a statement. We're also awaiting comment from attorneys for the others charged today. The new council is supposed to be seated July 1st. One separate race, which saw fraud allegations, resulted in a tie and a new election for that one seat, now set for August 15th.
Will your vote count if you're voting in Paterson, New Jersey's vote by mail election tomorrow? The question is being raised because the post office has discovered hundreds of ballots bundled together in some corner mailboxes, raising the question of possible voter fraud. There are city council elections tomorrow in New Jersey's third largest city, which is a vote by mail only election because of the coronavirus crisis. The News 4 has learned officials are looking into whether hundreds of other Paterson election ballots might have been mailed in a bundle from a neighboring town. Late today, a Passaic County spokesman confirmed there may be problems with some mail-in ballots. These ballots have been delivered to the county and set aside. Election commissioners will determine tomorrow whether these ballots will be counted. Officials won't know if those hundreds of ballots are for just one candidate until they open them tomorrow. A referral to law enforcement agencies for a possible voter fraud investigation could be made then.
In Paterson, New Jersey, it now appears that more than 3,000 mailed-in election ballots are not being counted. A Passaic County spokesman has said that 800 ballots were eliminated amidst ballot stuffing and bundling allegations. But 2,000 other ballots have been eliminated without an explanation, and those ballots might make a difference, considering one Paterson council race was decided by just 8 votes. A leading election law professor is calling Paterson's election a genuine fraud scandal. And so far, New Jersey's Secretary of State and Attorney General, again, have not answered questions about the election's fairness.